Hello, this is a demonstration of how I record music both at home, at church, and at venues when I'm performing, and how I edit and produce those videos and publish them online. The purpose of this demonstration is to show how I go about that process and how I'll use a device to record video and a separate device to record audio, and then synchronize those manually in a software called VSDC Video Editor. It's a free open source software that you can download, which I will show where to do that in the next section of this video. You don't need to have all this equipment for this. You could just use your cell phone and a hand device such as this Olympus here that people use to record memos. I use it to record music. I have a boom mic set up here, which is external. These cost about $30, and I think this is about 10 or 20, and it's hooked up with a TSR cable. What I have set up here, so let's talk about that. I have a GoPro Hero 8, and then I have two Samsung Note 5s. These are older models of the Samsung Note, and they're both Android. I have this one recording already. Typically, I like to have a baseline, so I'll pick one video to be the baseline of that, and then that will be the first device that I turn on to record, and the last device that I turn off when recording. The reason why I turn this one on first is because it has the piano keys facing down. If you can take a look here, maybe. The point of that is to have it upright. I don't want it to have to adjust, and I don't have to rotate the video during production. So these are recording in 1080p, and the GoPro Hero is recording in 1080p as well. This device that I'm recording the introduction with is recording with 480p. I'm also using a Boss RC30 that's hooked up via a live cable to a 3.5mm jack into the piano, and then a microphone using an XLR cable. That will record as a pedal that is a looper, so you can record music. A lot of guitarists will use this. I'm using it to record the audio for this video, for the actual music portion. So how I came about this is I recently got married, and my friend played viola and I played guitar during the ceremony, and I had all three of these devices recording at the church, and I had no idea what the outcome was going to be, but it came out really well. And I actually had this memo device, the Olympus here, hooked up with a lavalier under my shirt, and I was able to pick up all the music rather clearly, and so that was very, very nice. So I wanted to incorporate that into my regular routine and also share it with other people, and so that they can do this themselves. So we'll go ahead and get started. Since this is recorded, typically I'll use the GoPro as my baseline. I'm going to use this video as my baseline today. So we'll go ahead and get started here. I'll start the GoPro next. Okay, and then we'll turn on the other recording device. All right, and like I said, this is already recording. Okay, so now we'll turn on the audio, and you'll see how all these files compile when we actually do the production. Okay, and I like to say things during the recording. That way, when I'm listening to it and manually syncing it up, it's a little easier than doing it with the music, because the music, there is a cool effect of having a delay in the audio and the video, because it will have an echo, but I want to try and make it as synchronous as possible. So I'm going to start recording. I'll say the name of the song and what key it's in and things like that. Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem in the key of A for piano by Cruz Macias. Okay, this is the production part of the video, section of the video. What you're looking at here is VSDC Video Editor. Again, it's a free open source software. You can download it at videosoftdev.com. And you just click here on downloads and go to video editor. They also have audio and video converters that work similarly to VLC or Audacity. So you have multiple options here, but this is free. The version I'm using is the free version. It does ask or prompt you to upgrade. I go ahead and just exit out of that. So we're going to get started. To start a new project, just click on New Project. Now, if you recall from the introduction of this video, my files are, the format for these files is 1080p. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how to check that. Here's the GoPro file. I can right click it, go to Properties, and then go to Details, the Details tab here. And you'll see that the frame height is 1080, the width is 1920 pixels. It has the frames per second. And it also has the audio information, audio codec as well, which is the 189 kilobits per second here at 48,000 hertz in stereo format. Just really quick, I'm going to check on my GoPro. I think I might have upped the frame rate to 120. It looks like by mistake, which is going to impact how my computer isn't as fast, so the resources are limited. And I guess I recorded the entire video in slow-mo. Let's double check that. I'm gonna open up I like to use a separate video player. Oops. This is a MPV video player. It's also free. I like to use this because, like I said, the video, VSDC and other software use a lot of resources, and I'm recording with Zoom, so this is gonna put a lot of stress on my machine here. So let me just pull this over and see. Okay, and then we'll turn on the other recording device. I want to try and make it as synchronous as possible. So let it overflow. Don't say so. Well, that's unfortunate that I did that. I did not mean to record it in slow-mo. I guess, and I just looked at my GoPro right now. The setting for slow-mo was on, and so that it's a touchscreen GoPro, so that must have been turned on. And I did not realize it. Well, we're gonna have to go ahead and go through with this. Again, this is for demonstration purposes, so hopefully, I have a feeling that VSDC is gonna run pretty slow. I might have to redo everything, and I just put all my equipment away. Great. All right, so to start a new project, again, you can customize. We just checked the video feed here. So it was 128 frames per second. So you can actually select that. I'm gonna leave it at 30, okay, because I know that the Android devices that I recorded with, they are at 30 frames per second, or 29.95. Let's check this one. This is also 29.95. So yeah, we'll just leave it at 30 FPS, and hope for the best. So then the width again, we just checked was 1080 or 1920 width, 1080 height. So we'll just adjust these really quick. And we'll call this the and when I hit finish, it will ask me to open up a new project or an existing project. I'll just cancel. The only way this is a workaround. I just go to new project again and re-enter the information. 48,000 hertz, 1920. You can do custom resolution here. So and there you go. Just make sure 1920 by 1080. Yep. Okay, and the frame rate 29.97. All right, let's hope for the best. And all right, so to start a project, I'm going to use one video at a time. Again, if you remember from the introduction, the cell phone Note 5 was my base video. I like to have a base video that I can synchronize the audio with. And here's the audio from the Boss RC30 looper.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem.
All right, so that sounds okay. It's a little loud. So I'll just copy over the video here. Now, for this video, I'm not going to include the entire introduction part. I'll edit that after this. I'm just going to show the music portion. So I just drag and drop the video into the VSD editor. And if I had all three videos in at once, it would actually, when I go to playback, this is, so if you're looking at this here, I'll explain a little bit here. There's the object explorer you have seen in your different video and audio objects. Down here are the layers for the video and video and audio objects. We'll talk about that in a little while. So you'll see that we'll layer the GoPro on the bottom layer. So the top layer will be the GoPro, and then we'll have these other videos on top of it. And then over here are the properties for the actual object. Okay, so this is the video object. You can mute it by turning the track off. You can adjust the volume. You can set the coordinates, and by that I mean just move this. So this square here is our final video. This is going to be the frame that the entire video will sit in. So all this portion out here in the gray area is going to be cut out of the video. And so I'm actually going to set this up where I have two videos here and the GoPro on the side, and you'll see once I actually get to that part. If you move this around and you don't like where you moved it, you can actually hit it as set the same size as parent, and so it'll move it back into the full field of view. Here's the undo button. If you want to delete an object, you could do that. If you want to cut this video feed, you can use this slider to move around to a different time in the song, or the video, I mean, and go to editor and then hit this red button and it'll split. And then you can delete that first portion. And then you have to move this to the beginning. So that way you don't have 2 minutes of blackness. Let me undo that, because actually I want to cut it at a certain point in the video. And I think, like I said, we want to cut it right when I start playing the music. So to do that, first, what I'll do is let's go ahead and hit the preview button. This is a preview here.
Now we'll turn on the audio device, and you'll see how all these files.
All right, so let's go ahead and drag in our audio file. And it actually sets it where the slider is. So this audio file is much shorter, right? So it's only a few minutes long. Let's we'll have to now have to try and find where the audio syncs up with the video audio from the video. And also, if you hover over the object, you can see the codec information here as well for both video and audio. Okay, so let's try to find where I start singing in the actual song or the actual video here.
Adaptation.
So right about 4 minutes here, right? And so if I press play now, preview this, you'll see that these are not in sync. Let me demonstrate.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem.
So you can hear from that preview that the video feed is a little bit earlier than the audio feed. So we need to move the audio back a bit. So you can zoom in to really drill down and get it set per each of these segments here. Let's see. So if you use the arrow keys, you can move it over, and you can see over here under the scene information at 4 minutes, 28 seconds, 0.868 seconds, right? If I move the arrow key, we're at 0.901, 0.935. So it goes by hundreds of a second here. So let's move to the beginning of where the audio clip starts. And we want to try and sync it up with the video. So here, let's go ahead and preview this.
Adaptation.
So the second adaptation, when I say adaptation, the second one is the audio. So we'll just move this over a few. I'm pressing the left arrow key to move the slider over. Let's go about half a second here. Okay, let's see.
Adaptation.
Okay, so we'll probably want to go about 2 seconds or a second and a half. So I'll bring it down to 404, 877. Let's try that. And what's nice is that you can move the object into, it'll snap where the slider is. Okay. And again, you can zoom in with this button here to kind of see a little bit more.
Adaptation.
So let's move it back. I'm using the left arrow key still to about 404. Oops, I went too far. Let's do 410, 4.010 here.
Adaptation.
Okay, so we need to go even further. I'm going to go a whole second. to the beginning of 403. Right there. Let's try that.
Adaptation.
So it looks like I moved the audio a little too far back. And so now the audio is ahead of the video. Just really quick, I want to save this project in case it crashes, which again, it's because my machine is not, it's an old computer. So I'm using a laptop here. I think it's a gaming laptop, but it was a gift. And, I didn't really invest. Okay, so we'll just save, I'm saving it on my desktop in a project folder called VSDC demo. Okay, you can save it anywhere you like. They default it to the C drive where the actual application lives. I like to put it in a separate area on my desktop so that way it's readily accessible. And then once I'm done with it, I'll move it over to a external hard drive and delete it from my machine because I only have about 1 terabyte of data or storage on this computer. Okay, so now it's saved. So we moved ahead, if you remember. So let's try putting it at about 3.8 second, about, let's see. That's 4/5.
Adaptation.
So the audio file is still ahead. So I'll move it some more. Let's try there.
Adaptation.
So the video is still ahead, or I'm sorry, the audio is still ahead so it's of the video. So let's move it to here. And I'm just guessing this is trial and error.
Adaptation.
So you can hear that they're almost in sync. So I'll save this really quick. I'll try and move it ahead because I can't tell which one's first. So let's hope for the best here.
Adaptation.
So it sounds like the video is ahead. So I'll move back. I think I was already at 477.
Adaptation.
Yeah, the video's ahead. So let's keep going back a little more. Let's try 377. So 1/10 of a second here.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's.
Okay, we're really close now. I'm going to move it back some more.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's.
So now the audio's ahead, so we'll move it. I'm using the right arrow key to move back. Let's try 410.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem in the key of A.
So now you can hear that they are in sync. There, obviously, I mean, you can only move it so far. You can't, I mean, you could. So the time, let me click on that. So I've highlighted, oops, undo whatever I just did. 10. Let me double check that.
Adaptation of Josh.
So I have the audio object highlighted, and that's in the properties window. You'll see it has duration. Up here in object creation time section, it has 4 minutes, 4 seconds, 0.4 tenth of a second. So that you can actually adjust this manually. You can only move it in where these, I mean, it's not zoomed in far enough here, but there's little divots here. You can only move it with where these divots are. If I press the right arrow key or left arrow, let me highlight the slider here. See how it forces that, a few hundredths of a second there. The human ears can't really tell the difference. So that's why it sounds in sync. It may be more in sync if I was just in between here somewhere, but for the intents and purposes of human capacity, it's fine.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's.
And you could, if you make note of this, you could actually adjust it manually. Like I say, I moved it to 310. It would move it automatically to 310, which is really nice, right? And if I try to go, like say, you can go 344. Let me try 333. You'll see that it won't do it. It'll just snap it automatically to the 344. Now, and I remember it was 410, so I'll put it back. Really quick, I bet there's a way to not to actually get that minute in particular. And I mean, I'll have to play around with the software. I've only been using this for a couple months. I'm not really sure where that would be, but for overall, that's fine. I'm happy with this as is. So let me just double check and make sure the video.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem.
And so now what I could do
if you wanted to, you could mute the audio track for the video. And so all you'll hear when I press play is the
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's
as you
Let
can,
the Redeem in the key
as
of
you can
A.
hear, that's just the audio from the looper, the Boss RC30 looper that you saw in the introduction. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to split. I just want to, for this demonstration, I just want to export the song, and I'll include this portion when I do the actual tutorial edit, but you guys won't be able to. We'll see that. So this is just for the editing of the song. But so overall, that's how you go. That's how you that's how I manually synchronize the video and audio with on a recording of a single device. Remember, this is my cell phone recording, so you could have that set up anywhere you like. You don't have, if you're using an iPad or another type of tablet, you know, everything is synonymous. So you can, you know, as long as you got a video file and an audio file, this is how you'd sync them up. And at this point in the video, if you're here just to see how to do that, because I'm gonna move on to editing and adding all 3 video feeds into the single frame, into this one frame here. If you don't want to watch that, just skip ahead to the end. Actually, maybe I can just show you really quick. If you want to export the project, just go over to the export tab. You check your codecs, right? So I'm exporting at ultra quality, and I remember it was 30 frames per second, so I can actually edit the profile here, and I can configure. You know, it has original height width, so that's fine. If you're just editing one video, you pretty much don't need to do anything with this. If you want to match what the audio has, so say for example, you wanted to mute the audio of the video and just use the audio from the microphone. They're recording, let's say this was an audio recording from a lavalier that's on your shirt or something. If you're doing, let's say you're recording like a speech or a sermon or something like that, and you're not doing this for music, you would want to probably just cut out the video feed, the audio from the video feed, right? So really quick, let me just show you. So first we'll split the video right here at 410. So go over to editor. Sorry for jumping around like that, but hopefully you're following along. Now I'll delete this first portion, right? Okay, now I'll take, let me zoom out. I'll take both these files here, move them to the beginning. Okay. So now it's at 0 seconds, so at 0.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem.
So there's that. The video feed is muted. I said don't use audio. If I wanted to leave the audio, I could.
Adaptation.
But see how you're getting that echo. If you wanted to just record a sermon or something and you just wanted the audio from the lavalier or the memo device, let me save this. This is how it would sound.
Adaptation of
Okay.
Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem.
So that's what, and if you wanted to turn up the volume, let's say it wasn't loud enough for you, you can turn up the decibel level. I'm gonna leave it at 0. So now that your file is modified and edited, if you want to clip the end, you can. I'll leave that to you. But if you're just trying to record audio and video, so that's now we can export the project. So here, really quick, let me go back to the project. I hover over the audio, you'll see that the codec information is 44.1. You can see there in the frequency, it's 44.1 kilohertz. Stereo quality bit rate is 1411. So you'll want to match that with when you do the export. So you just go to edit profile here, and you can see that 1611 was the bit rate. So the highest bit rate we have is 320. So we'll just leave it there. We already have 44.1 kilohertz. You can adjust this if you like. I'm going to leave it as MPEG-4. And then here's the video information. I'm just using the original video. Okay, so you can apply that profile there. To export the project, just click on export. You'll see this prompt. If you're using the free version, you'll see a prompt upgrade. I just skip that and I hit continue. And now it's exporting. So I'm going to go ahead and stop. It takes a little while, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the conversion, cancel that. And also really quick, if you wanted to see, this is saving in my C drive. If I wanted to move it to this project folder, I would just, you could save it as AVI file type. If you wanted to change it to something else like MP4, you have to adjust to a different profile, right? So you can click on this profile here. So there's already MPEG-4 profiles, right? And so the highest, let me look at the edit here profile. So bring it back up to 320. Resolution, everything looks good. It'll be MP3. It's going to be MPEG-4 codec. and then you can apply that profile, go to export, continue, and really quick cancel. I want to change the name to, let me see. So it's actually going to force it as AVI. That's what I usually use is AVI. And then I'll use something like VLC to convert it to MP4 if I have to for something like Facebook. I think YouTube allows AVI. If you need to convert it to MP4, you can use this here, VLC media player, to convert to MPEG-4. But overall, I think that, yeah, let's see. So you just click on convert save. You can download VLC online. Let's see. So this is vlc.org, videoland.org. Just go to download. And here's VLC. It's also free. You can donate if you like. Here I'm going to add the AVI file. So the AVI file that we were let's see here. I'm not sure where that file's saved, but I'll just use an existing one. So you'll add your AVI file here, open, and then you can go to convert and save, and then you can adjust the settings here. MPEG-4, let's say it was 720, you could say video MPEG-4 for 1080p, right, for device, and just use original video, original audio. You would save it. I didn't click save there. Browse, you'd want to save it in the folder where the file lives. You say and container is MP4, save that, and then you can start your conversion. And then you'll let the this blue bar here will keep going. And it might stop at the end here at like 4 minutes, 17 seconds. Just let it finish. Give it some time. And then once it's finished, you'll have an MP4. And then you can use that to upload to Facebook or YouTube. So yeah, again, so that's how you would export this project and everything. I'm going to go ahead and continue the video with doing the rest of the editing for people who want to see the actual video panel. But if that was all you came for, then you can go ahead and stop watching now. So I'm not really worried about this conversion. I'm going to cancel that. So we'll go ahead and continue. And I'm going to change this to all right, so let's go back to our project here. And let me just double check and make sure everything sounds good.
Adaptation
Okay.
of
So now that we have our video synced up, what I want to do is I want to move this panel to the bottom left corner of the video. So how I'll do that is I'll go up to the coordinates, and I will basically, I'm going to shrink this down to this area here. So it's going to be half the height, half the width. So I'll take 1920 and divide it by half, you get 960. And then the height, take that and divide it by half, you get 540. Okay, we want to move it down. So I'm going to do, here you have top is 0. We'll set top to 540. And that'll move it into the bottom left corner. So there's that. Now we can bring in our other video, which is the other cell phone.
And like I said, this is already recording.
Okay, so we'll want to sync that up. So let me just drag and drop this into the project here. And we'll have to sync this again. It's going to be, so what I'll do is I'll highlight both of these to move it over. So let's try moving this out to about here. And as you can see, the whole video, the video that's below the object file that's below the top one is underneath in the actual final output. So let's just play and see where we're at. Okay. So as you can see, there's kind of a lag. So I'm going to actually do a little trick here. I'm going to move both these guys together to this part, but I want to move it somewhere where the video I start playing the music. You see, I'm still talking here. So when do I actually start playing the music? Okay, there you go. So I'm gonna put it about right here. I guess we'll start here. And so what I'm gonna do now is save this in case it crashes. I'm gonna, in order to, because like I said, my resources are limited.
In the key of A for piano.
As soon as the other video starts, it starts skipping, right?
Adaptation.
So I'll delete the video momentarily and then I'll bring it back once I know where to cut this video clip at. So let's find out here.
Annotation.
Okay, perfect. So right about there is where we want to be. And oops, so good thing I undo. So I got, now these two videos are in sync, or the video and the audio here. So let me just grab both of them together, move them, snap them to where this location is. Okay, save. And then I'll delete this video just for a little bit. Okay, just so I can sync up this video here.
Adaptation.
So you can tell the audio is a bit behind. So I'm going to pay attention to where I move. I got to keep track of the time here. I make note of it. You can use something like Notepad if you want. So we'll just say, okay, keep that to the side. Okay, and then so what I'm going to do, I said let's double check.
Adaptation. Of Josh
So the video's ahead. So let's move. Let's take this slider and move it over to 48.281. Actually, I'm going to go to 47. I'm going to zoom in here. Because what I'll do is once I have a time, I'll undo to bring back the actual video. See how I brought it back to the original place, and then I can shift these posts over to where we are, cut it, and then so there you go. So let me move this here. Let's see how it sounds. So it's just a little bit off still.
Adaptation.
Okay, let's go one more.
Adaptation.
Okay, so let's try a couple. I'm gonna go to about 47.480.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem.
Let me. I think the audio is ahead. Let's try moving it back to the right.
Adaptation.
Okay, so the video is still ahead. So we'll go. Let's go about 3 or 4 over. Segments over.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem.
Okay, I don't hear an echo anymore. So let me try moving this back over one more time. See if I hear an echo.
Adaptation.
Right, there's the echo there. Let's move it ahead one. And there's still going to be an echo.
Adaptation.
Yep. So our sweet spot is right here at 47.380. So I'm going to make note of that. 47.380. And that's where we're going to want to move both the video and the audio to, and then cut this clip here. So let's double check.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem.
Okay, it sounds good. Track is on. I just always double check that the track audio is on in case it's so now let's go ahead and undo our changes to bring back the original video. So I have to do a couple of undos. As you can tell, it's shifting it. If you look here, you notice that the time is shifting. I zoomed out so you can't really see it. It's so minute to change. All right, now the video's back. Our layer, our slider is still at 47.380. That was our sweet spot. right? So let's go ahead. So now the video and audio should be synced with this new video here. So let me go ahead and just select these objects. I'll change it to object creation time is going to be 47.380. So just shift it over. And same thing with this one here. Okay, so now I should be able to clip this video here. So I'll go ahead and split that. Go to editor, split into parts. Delete this first section. So I'll highlight this, delete, I'll highlight all three, and move to the beginning of the project here. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
Annotation.
Let me save this. I'm going to delete one video and check. Let me see. I think this track is muted. Yep, don't use audio. So leave on track one here. And then, so what I'll do is I'll delete the first video. And then we can hear and make sure that the sound's
Annotation of Josh Ball.
okay, sounds good. The reason I delete it is because, like I said, my resources won't allow it to play without skipping, as you noticed. But when I have one video, it works just fine. Okay, so track one is on. Track one. So I'm going to play all three at the same time just to see what it sounds like.
Annotation of Josh
All right,
Baldwin's
if I
at 3D.
delete this, play.
Annotation of Josh.
Okay, there's no echo, so let's bring back that video feed. I'm going to move the audio to the bottom layer. Okay, this video now, I want to move it to the top left panel here. So I'll go back to coordinates. So let me save this since everything was working. Currently, I have all the audio on, so I'm going to make note of that because I want to mute these audio, the video audio, once we get into later into the project here. All right, so that I'm not sure that started happening yesterday. I must have changed the settings somewhere and not realized what it's doing. I'll have to look into that. I'm not going to do that today. Okay, let's adjust the coordinates for this video. I want to put it in the top left corner. So remember, just divide by half of the height width here. Okay, and now it's already in the top left corner. What I wanted to say was it's already there because the left and top coordinates are 0. Okay, and so you can see a little tiny like line here. I'm fine with that. I mean, if you want to, you can try to fix that and adjust the coordinates to your preference. I'm going to leave it as is. It's fine for me. And so now we have our videos. Let me save this.
Annotation of Josh Baldwin's at 3D.
So now the video is in sync, all three, with the audio itself. So if I mute, I can actually mute these two and then play this. Let's go ahead and bring our GoPro in. That was set on slow mode. I'm kind of worried about this, but we'll see how it goes. This is 119 frames per second. When I export the project, it'll reduce it to 30 frames per second. So hopefully it all works out. And then we'll see how it goes. So, all right, so let me drag this in. Okay, notice it's kind of a lot bigger. And it's in the back here. So if I move the slide over, you'll see that now the GoPro has, the subject, myself, in the left here, and then you see me over here. So I don't actually have to adjust it because these two panels are covering up that. Let me just try and let me save and move this guy. You can see that there's the rest of the video, but it's just covered up because I'm putting this video in front of it. So we undo that positioning. Okay, so save. So now what we have to do is try and sync up the GoPro with the audio. All right, so I'll delete. How do I want to do that? I want to grab all three. I got to figure out where the GoPro starts playing music. So I could just slide here and see when I actually sit down. I'm talking. So I'm just going off of, here. So let me grab these 3 objects. And the reason the GoPro's on the bottom is that way it's underneath the 2 videos. If I moved it to the top, it would actually cover up the video, right? And let me just show that before we move on. Actually, as you can see now, the GoPro is covering up those 2 videos. All right, so let's undo that. Okay, so okay, now the headphones are on, so hopefully it's pretty close. I'll just grab these 3 guys, move them to that section, save it, and then I'll delete these top 2. And then I'll press preview to see if, where these 2 audio for the GoPro and the audio for the actual looper sync up.
The audio and the video.
Okay, it looks like I'm talking quite a bit. So let's make note of this section here, or this locate or frame. 41.174. Okay, so let me let's move in further. And as you can tell, it's skipping because the GoPro is, if it was 30 frames per second, we wouldn't see the skip. Yeah, we wouldn't see the skip at all. So unfortunately, I did not account for that. Okay, so I'm gonna move this just a tad, about 50 seconds here. Yeah, if I would have not recorded in slow-mo, we wouldn't have this problem with 120 frames. And this is where Video Editor could crash because it's just too big of a file. So it looks like I'm about to press play or record on the looper. So I'm gonna use the arrow keys here. So I'm going to make note 50.917. Let's just see. So let's move it to here. That's really nice that I clicked that a reference. So 50, right? Oops. 51. Okay. I want to get confused. Okay. So what I'm going to do is undo until I bring the 2 videos back. And I'm going to snap all 3 of the objects to the 51.651. Okay, let's redo. Let's see what happens. Okay, delete them, so undo. So like I said, my computer's a little slow because of the resources, so I have to really be careful. All right, so let's highlight these 3. Let's see, I think I can highlight them from here. I'll press the shift key to select all 3. Okay, perfect. So now I can move all of them at once without having to zoom out. And they're still in sync. And if you find that you have a better method or your computer can handle these higher capacity of resources or what have you, feel free to use them. I'm just making do with what I have. So So now if I just highlight these, let me save this in case it crashes. So these 3, 651, 651, and 651. Okay, good. So now I can delete 2 videos again and keep editing and try and synchronize the audio for these 2. And it's going to be somewhere around here. So let's zoom in a little more and I'll hit play.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem in the key of A for piano.
Okay, so there's the GoPro. So it looks like I hit the pedal a few times. So I'm gonna have to move this again. As you can see, I'm bending down. I think I was turning off or adjusting a setting on the looper. And go ahead and just move these 3 objects out here. Oops. Okay, and then keep adjusting. Okay, I think we're getting close now. Okay, it looks like I'm doing the same thing there. Let me save. So now we have a new reference points, 58.024. Okay, let's see, saved it. I'm gonna delete these 2 videos. Let's see how close we are.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem.
So that's actually really close. I'm gonna end up not using the GoPro audio. So even if it was out of sync, just a hair, you wouldn't hear it anyway because I'd mute the audio on the GoPro, but it sounded like it was really close. Let's zoom in some more. And it's hard to tell because the preview, maybe if I lower the quality here, let's see.
Adaptation of Josh.
So it sounds like let's go ahead and select this. I'll change this back to 1080. So let's move it to 58. I'm sorry. Let's do 58. Let me see where I'm at. 5804. Let's do 57991 and hear that sounds.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem in the key of A.
So I'm hearing an echo. So I'm actually going to go the other direction to 58058. 58.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem in the key of A for piano by Cruz.
I think I hear an echo. It's hard to tell with the way that it's skipping like that. I feel like 58024 is actually the best place to put it. And that was just by happenstance that I happened to select that.
adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeemed.
Yeah, I don't hear anything. Okay, so I'll leave it there. So let me just undo it until I get my videos back. Okay, here's our 3 videos. I can cut I can split the GoPro footage here at 58.024. I can delete that first part. Okay, and go back to project save. So let's zoom out and move it to the beginning. So we'll grab all 4 objects. All right, so now they're highlighted, and let's move into the beginning of the scene. Okay, 0 seconds. Let me just play it all.
Adaptation.
All right, so I'm going to mute. I was thinking about adding that other audio. Here's what I'll do. So I'll move this to the bottom. Okay, let's save. I'm gonna mute these 3 videos. I actually think the microphone on the cell phone is probably the best quality besides the looper. The looper actually has a better quality, but the audio on the actual, if you look at it, it's 48,000 hertz for the codec here, 48,000 hertz, 256 kilobits stereo per second. And then if you compare that with the looper, the looper does have better quality. It doesn't have a better frequency, but it does have a higher bit rate. But compare that with the GoPro, and you have 189 kilobits per second versus the 256. So the audio on the cell phone is better overall. Besides the looper. So if you didn't have a looper, you just want to go with your cell phone microphone, honestly, because if I bring in the Olympus Memo, it's going to have a lower bit rate than these 2 videos. So I might want to actually keep the audio from this original, since this video feed here is right above the piano, where the piano actually isn't playing anything, so you're just going to get my vocals. And so I might actually keep these over the memo, but let's just go ahead and just mute these anyway. So I'll keep the first one, mute that one. I'll mute the GoPro, leave this one on, and let's save. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just do a quick trick here and delete these 2 panels, just so we can hear what it sounds like.
There is joy in the morning.
I like that a lot. If I mute this track here, because I actually have the audio for the looper feeding, and it's actually not playing, the piano is not playing in the room, it's just my voice. Watch.
Cat to set free, so let the redeemed of the Lord say so, and sing of his promises.
That's how it sounds just with the cell phone audio. And let's see how it sounds with the just the looper audio, which will include the piano track.
Cat to set free, so let the redeemed of the Lord say so.
I like that a lot. I think I'm going to keep both in there for the final output here.
Cat to set free, so let the redeemed of the Lord say so, and sing of his promise.
And let me undo this just to bring the video back. Oops. How far did I go? Redo. So let me select these files. So track 1 for the keyboard is on, track 2 for the left panel is off, the GoPro audio is off, and then the audio from the looper is on. So everything, I like how this is, and I think I'm going to leave it as that. At the end of the video, what will happen is, let me just show you. I'm just going to mute it here. So the video, I'll turn off one camera at a time, and it'll actually it'll cut, right? So I go to turn off this camera here, and you see it, the panel cut off here, which I think is kind of a cool little effect. I was going to turn this one off because I usually use the GoPro as my baseline, but I was using this one as my base. So here's the GoPro is going to shut off, and then the final footage. So I think what would be nice is to just trim it so you don't see any of that. So I think right here, let's just trim it right at this point. I'll find where the end of the video is. And I was going to include the audio from the boom mic, which is this one right here. Let's see.
And you'll see how all these took the shackles off my feet. There's no sound louder than let the redeemed.
So I could include that. Maybe we'll try to do that really quick and see how long it takes, but I kind of like how it sounds without it. So already, so I'm pretty happy with the outcome of this. So I'm going to go ahead and split it right here. So what I'll do is select all three objects as soon as my computer catches up. So I've got this first one highlighted, press shift and click to highlight all three. Go to editor, split. So now all three objects have been split, and then I can delete them. Let me zoom in some more. So this is where the split happened, and I'll just delete these three splits here. So now the video will terminate at the same time. And you'll see. Let's start it over. So there you go. So that's that. There also go to project save. Let's go to the beginning and just make sure. You could watch the whole thing. I'm not going to, because like I said. Let's see what's going on with the audio here. Track one, track off, on.
Annotation.
Okay, so I know that it sounds good. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm going to go ahead and skip this part of dragging in this other audio file. It would just be a matter of deleting 3 video feeds. Like so. Right, you delete these 3. Actually, let me undo that. Leave them in. Drag your other audio file. Let's say you had 2 mics set up and you wanted to get 2 different ranges on the left side and the right side or something like that. Or you wanted to include the audio from the room and the person speaking or singing or performing. So just to do this, it'd be a matter of deleting these 3 videos, so that at least that's what I have to do. You may not have to do that for your, and then I can play and I can hear. Well, for some reason, it's fine. So as the volume was turned down, that's why I was caught. So now I need to find where this audio is playing, right? So, so I'm still talking. So it's pretty close here.
Adaptation.
Okay, so 39 seconds, it sounds like, is where I finally started talking. Adaptation, said the phrase. So let's play that. Okay, so what I'll do is move my clip here. So I'm going to make note of that. This will take this actually much faster. 39.172. The reason why I'm doing this is so that way I can undo and bring the video back and not have to do that many undos. To go back to the original. All right, so let's move all four of these in together to that point. Scene, save, delete these three, and then let's see if we can get this synced up.
Adaptation.
Okay, so the looper is ahead. So let's move it out to a whole second here. So to 40 seconds.
Adaptation.
Okay, so it's still ahead. Let's move it out to 40, just right under 41 seconds here. 41:07. There you go.
Adaptation.
Okay, so it's ahead. So let's move it back a little bit.
Adaptation.
Okay, so the Olympus is still ahead.
Adaptation.
Okay, Olympus is still ahead.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem.
Okay, so I think Olympus is still ahead. Let's try this.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem.
Okay, I hear a bit of an echo, but I think that's just because it's the room. Let's move it back one segment.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem.
Okay, I hear an echo. Let's move it back one more segment.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem.
Okay, now you can really hear the echo. So we were actually much closer before. Let's go the other direction.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem in the key of A.
My bitter into sweet, all my burdens are lifted. Took the
Okay, I think this is where it would be.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem in the key of A.
I'm just re-listening. I know we already.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's.
It's really up to you. Again, I don't even think I need to use this extra audio file.
Adaptation of.
Yeah, I would say 540 is about.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem in the key of A.
I mean, I hear a slight echo. I might just leave it out, but 40.540 is where I think is probably the best part, our best place to put it. So what I can do, so it's going to have to undo all those shifts, but I'll bring back the video. Give it a second to catch up because I hit undo about 4 or 5 times there. And that's why I saved beforehand. So if I have to actually close the application and reopen it, I made note of the time stamp, and so we can just shift it really quick. See, it's at 47:07. You can see it shifting here. And 39172 is when I was my last time step. There we go. There's the video. Let me redo just to make sure that we're at the right part. So now I can highlight all 4 objects, shift them over to the 40.54. I know that that's the right spot, so I can split this, delete this first part. And then I can move all 5 of my objects right here. And it looks like the audio of the Olympus is a little longer, so we'll want to split that as well in the back end here. Okay, so the video cuts at 650. So right here is right where the end of the video is. So now I only want to split this last track here, right? So I'll highlight this and split and delete. So let's go back to. So now we have 3 videos synced with 2 audio tracks synced. And let me go back to the beginning. Save. Just a good habit to have. All right, so let me just make sure that this track here is on. That's the bottom left panel. This next track is muted. The GoPro footage is muted. This audio track is on, and then the room audio is on as well. So we could just do a quick, I'm gonna, just for the sake of us being able to listen, I'm gonna select these 2 and delete them, and then just hear how it sounds here.
Annotation of Josh Baldwin's Let the Redeem in the key of A.
So you can kind of tell that it's giving it a room ambience or acoustic, if you will. But once we get into the actual song, the piano from the looper will overpower all of that anyway, at least for the human ears.
Let me out of the desert, brought me water, turned my bitter into sweet. All my burdens are lifted, took the shackles off my feet.
So just to demonstrate, let's mute the room acoustic here and just compare.
Let me out of the desert, brought me into his streams, river of living water, turned my bitter into sweet.
So you can't really tell there's much difference there. But I think I'll just leave all 3 on. And again, if you look at the codec for this object here, it's 32 kilobits per second. See the bit rate there. Compare that with the cell phone, 256, that's much better. And then compare that with the looper at 1411, even better. So this audio is just kind of, it's just not really necessary to have in it, but I just did it for the purposes of this demo.
The freedom I'm living in, you are my deliverer, you are my promised land.
Yeah, I'll just leave it in. Okay, so let me bring back those 3 videos. I think we're ready to go for export now. Save the project. Look here, just double check everything. Track 1. Track 2 is off, or video 2 is off. GoPro video audio is muted. Track audio from the looper is good. Audio from the Olympus handheld is good. So we're ready to export. Let me just move throughout the video here just to make sure that okay, it looks okay to me. I'm just checking to make sure that. All right, yeah, that looks good. So let's go ahead and export this project. So it's initializing here. And if you remember, the highest bit rate was 14 11, so we can actually bump it up for the codec, for the audio codec. We can bump it up to 320. Or yeah, because it was 1411 on the looper. The bit rate for the cell phone was 256. Well, we'll just leave it as 320, and then we can bump this up to 48 hertz, 48 kilohertz. The video, we'll just leave it as original resolution. And I'm not going to mess with this. I really don't understand all these different parameters, but I've been using this and it seems to work just fine. We're at 30 frames per second, so hopefully we'll see how it goes at the end of the export. I'll see how the GoPro footage actually is handled. It's just going to reduce the frames by a quarter, right? Because it's 120 frames per second versus 30 frames per second. So it should be fine. It should be fine. But yeah, we're actually reducing the quality of this video. All right, so that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and start the export. So I'll just skip this again. Remember to skip this part unless you are upgraded and using the pro version. You can. That's up to you. So I'll just go to continue. And oops, actually I forgot to put oh, it's already in VSD demo song AVI. I just want to make sure I don't have a file name that already. So right now it's saving the file, and it has 0 kilobits because it's just started. Just to play it safe, what I'm going to do is stop the conversion. Oops. I press pause instead of stop. Okay, stop conversion. So just for the sake of, just to make sure that nothing got messed up or because I was basically overwriting another file and I don't want to have any complications there. I'll just delete that file and then export a new one.
Adaptation of Josh Baldwin's Let the
No, there's no sound allowed. Say so.
All right, so let me undo this. I think that'll be fine. Okay, so I'll just move the slider to the beginning. I don't think that really matters. So again, finally, all our codec is good. See how the input is 1536, the output is 288 at 320, right? So yeah, I think I'm ready. All right, so let's just, I'm going to delete this file that I was overwriting several times over already, and then we'll just do a new one. There you go. And export, continue. So now that'll run probably for about an hour, maybe less. So I'll go ahead and if I have a problem with that, I'll just upload a second video and you can, but hopefully I can include it all into the one. So thanks for watching. I hope everything works out. And let me stop sharing. Stop. All right, that's all I have. Take care.
Let me out of the desert, brought me into his streams, river of living water, turned my bitter into sweet. All my burdens are lifted, took the shackles off my feet. There's no sound louder than a cat to set free. No, there's no sound louder than a cat to set free. So let the redeemed of the Lord say so, and sing of his promises evermore. Pour out your thankfulness. his own. And there's a hallelujah after sweet victory. There's no sound louder than a captive set free. No, there's no sound louder than a captive set free. So let the redeemed of the Lord say so, and sing of his promises evermore. Pour out your thankfulness, let it overflow. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. You are my deliverer, the freedom I'm living in. You are my deliverer, you are my promised land. You are my deliverer, the freedom I'm living in. You are my deliverer, you are my promised land. You are my deliverer, the freedom I'm living in. You are my deliverer, you are my promised land. So let the redeemed of the Lord say so, and sing of his